Hey guys, how are you? So this week we are going to draw a scarecrow, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. So I'm going to let you guys have a little bit of flexibility on how you draw yours, but go ahead and get your pencil eraser, Sharpie or micron pen, and watercolors. If there's something else that you want to use instead of watercolors, like markers or colored pencils, and you can go ahead and get that as well. But I'm going to do mine in watercolor, and I think it'll be fun. Okay, so go grab your things and we'll get started. Okay, thanks. Okay guys, so for our scarecrow, the first thing that we're going to do is draw a background line. I'm going to say about a third of the way down from the top. I'm working outside today, guys, because it's so beautiful out. You might hear a little bit of construction noise outside or different things. That's okay. So I have a background line. Now I'm making kind of a bumpy, wavy line. It's just going to be like some trees in the background. Okay. We don't want to do this too dark because we are going to erase some of that. Okay. Now for our scarecrow's face, we're going to start. I'm going to make a circle. You know, you guys can, you know, if you have a different idea of what you want your scarecrow to look like, or if you even want to maybe Google search different types of scarecrows, you might have something else that you want to do. Maybe you want to do an oval face, or I don't know, you know, just make yours different somehow, and that's 100% okay. I kind of want you guys to use your creativity on this, okay? But I'm gonna make my face circular, and it's about an inch big. Here's my sample again. I've got that right there. So it's about an inch big. So I've got that, and then I'll do the hat last. I think I'm gonna do kind of like a shoulder, a diagonal line coming from both sides of the head. And then my arms are just going to stick out like that. And maybe do a little swoop like that. Okay, and then for mine, I'm going to have a shirt that's a little bit puffy. And then really just some pants. Like that. So a circle, then a diagonal line and a diagonal line. Have it go out to the side and have that go out to the side. And then with our arms, it's going to be, our lines are going to be closer together at the wrists. So have this closer together, and then it can get further and further apart down here. And same on this side. Okay. And you know, as far as the shirt goes, I mean, maybe you want this to be angled. Maybe you want it to be perfectly straight. I'll let you play around with that, you know, because the little subtle things like that are what give it character. Okay, so this is how I'm doing mine, but feel free to modify yours if you want. And I honestly don't know what this is. I think it's just a waistband that I'm going to put in there. Okay, and now for the shirt. Okay, I'm going to basically make a V. Right there. And yeah, I guess right there. Okay, and now I'm going to make a collar. I'm not going to go right down to the V. I'm going to go a little bit up from the V. I'm going to make a line that comes out, and then kind of a curved line that goes like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm not going to go right to the V. I'm going to go a little bit higher. A little line, and then a curved line. Okay, and now let me show you on my sample. See how right here, so we just did our V, and we have our collar, but now this side over here is going to go in front of this other side, and then it's going to go down. Okay, so we're going to do that right here. I'm going to take my V and I'm going to bring it down a little bit further. and then I'm gonna go straight down from there. And then I'm gonna put some buttons right smack in the middle, right below the point of my V. Okay, now you can do as many as you want. I did 4 on my first one. I actually like big oversized buttons because I think they're fun. You guys can do whatever. And now we got a chainsaw in the background, guys. Sorry, I didn't know all this construction would be going on. But it is a beautiful day. You know what, maybe I'll put the camera up and let you guys see where I am right now. This is just so pretty. Here, I know this is silly, but hold on. Isn't that just gorgeous? There's a squirrel up there. I don't know, guys, I'm too much of a nature person. I just love it. It's sunset and it's fall. Look at these colors. I may also be easily distracted. Sorry, guys. Anyway, but that's why I chose to do this out here. And I was hoping we wouldn't have chainsaws in the background, but oh well. Back to the drawing. Okay, so I made 4 round buttons, and inside of my buttons I have like 4 little holes for where the thread would hold the buttons onto the fabric, okay? Yeah, and then I also, just for fun, made another line on this side. That's just like the design of the shirt. You can do whatever design you want to on your shirt. I did mine kind of plaid, and I also gave my Scarecrow suspenders. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But so I've got these 2 lines here. That's 1 suspender, and then 2 lines over here for the other suspender. And then I have this weird thing. If you want to, you can just do like a triangle like that. But let me show you the other thing I did. It was kind of rounded, and then it kind of had like a little point that went down, and it was kind of rounded again. You know, whatever you want to do. If a triangle is easier, that's fine. It just needs to be some kind of a clip that clips the suspenders onto the pants. Okay. And like I said, I did mine in a plaid. So that's basically just lines. I tried to make my lines a little bit curvy to follow the shape of the body. And of course, any lines that go below the suspenders also need to go above the suspenders. Okay. Okay, so now I've got, what is that, vertical stripes. Now I'm gonna do my horizontal stripes. And on these, I'm gonna start out curving up a little bit. And then that one's a little bit straighter. I know I'm gonna actually curve down on this one. And on the rest of these, I'm gonna curve down a little bit to kind of show like the belly. Guys, I'm really sorry. I don't know what they're doing out there. I'm not sure who it is or what they're doing, but my goodness. I'm hoping they stop soon. Okay, so this is my little shirt. And you know, I didn't do any design at all on my pants. If you want to do something, now would be a good time to do that. I also made like a little cuff. You know what? I'm gonna do this one a little bit different. I'm gonna kind of pretend like the sleeve is like maybe rolled up a little bit. So I'm gonna have a bigger line over here and then have it angled down towards a shorter line. And then I'm just gonna put some hay coming out of it. For some hands. If you want to, you can put like a little bit of hay coming up here to make it look a little bit more like a thumb. Okay, and then the same thing on this side. I'll have this a bigger curve near the arm and then have it angled down to a smaller curve, and then just throw some hay in there. Okay, now for the hat, again, you can do whatever kind of hat you want. I'm gonna do an oval right about here. It's gonna be the rim of my hat. Okay, and then the actual hat itself is gonna fit right over top of this circle. We are gonna erase that circle, but we're gonna use it as a guide. So we're gonna go up and dent down and go up and come right back down again where that circle is, like on the side of that circle. Okay, so now I'm gonna erase the head, top part of the head. And then you can really do anything you want to. I made my rim a little bit wider, kind of like that, to give it just a little bit of depth. And I also put a ribbon on mine. Like right there. You could put a buckle on it maybe if you wanted to. I don't know. Now I also made mine a girl. You can make yours a boy or a girl, it doesn't matter. But I gave mine just some long straw hair and I put it all like behind her, but I also put some like on the side of her face coming forward, kind of like that. Okay. And we can do the same thing on this side. And we don't want to cover our circle for the hair that's behind. It's going to be behind the circle. It can come out like that a little bit though. And then the hair that's in front, we'll put in front of the circle. Okay. But you could even put some little bangs in there if you wanted to. Something like that. Okay, and I did a triangle nose, kind of in the center. And I made her kind of, I don't know if she's sleepy or if she's just enjoying the moment and has her eyes shut. But I gave her shut eyes, just a little bit of eyelashes angling out towards the side of her face. Okay guys, the noise out here is starting to drive me nuts, so I might move inside in a minute. But let's see if we can just finish this up real quick. I've got a nice wide smile for her. And then like a little curved line right there. And I also put a little kind of like an upside down curved line right there, like for her chin. Oh, and then I also gave her tiny little eyebrows up here. Up here, we're gonna do a little cloud. Just gonna do some little puffy circles. It's kind of like a lot of half circles. And it's a little flatter on the bottom, but I do have a couple little like waves, I'll call it. Okay, and then the last thing is just to get this field in here. I honestly don't know what's growing in this field. I don't know if it's wheat. Initially I was gonna have it be corn, but I don't think that's quite what I have going on here. So what I did is I just did these pencil marks coming up like this, and they can be, you know, they can lean over some, that's fine. And then what I did was I just made a bunch of dots, like I wanted the top to be the narrowest, so the skinniest, so like just like 1 or 2 dots wide up here, and then have it get wider as we come down. And you could do dots, or you could do like little strokes if you wanted to, but either way I wanted it to get wider as it came down near the stem. Okay, and then I don't know, maybe it has leaves coming off, I don't know. But I did that for all of them. You can do this real quickly, guys, like just throw some dots in there. Don't have them all the same height, because we want to make it look a little bit more natural. Just kind of have them all over the place. Okay. And really the shape doesn't even really matter that much. It doesn't need to be perfect in any way. In fact, you could probably even just scribble it and then make it thicker near the bottom. I think that's the most important part, is that it's thicker near the bottom. Okay. Now, I'm not going to make you guys watch me do this whole thing, but I do, you know, just go across this row right here, the whole way. And same thing over here. And we'll do the little dots over here too. So go ahead and fill that all in. I'm gonna stop taping and I'm gonna fill mine in. So you guys go ahead and pause and finish up your grass, and then we'll come back together, okay? Okay guys, so I just finished up this front row of grass here. And now I'm also going to just make like some kind of like just patches of, I don't really even exactly know what in the background, of maybe a different type of plant, or maybe it's just growing a different direction, or maybe it's a different color, or maybe there's a shadow, maybe some things are taller, but you can just see just little bits of kind of texture out in the background. Now out here our lines are going to be really tiny because it's so far in the distance, okay? And our lines up here can be a little bit bigger, but just sort of just something so that it's not just bare. Okay, and that is basically our drawing, guys. So now at this point I want to go in and Sharpie all of my pencil marks. I think probably the most important of the things to show you guys, and we've done this before, but like these little lines in the background, let's see, I'm using my micron pen. We're gonna hold it at an angle. I'm kind of holding it like at a, I don't know, maybe about a 45-degree angle, maybe a little bit less. And I'm just gonna use the side to get just a tiny bit of ink on the page. I don't wanna hold it tight. I don't wanna put a lot of pressure on it. I'm holding it way back here and just putting a tiny bit of pressure on it, just enough to be able to get something on the page to just give the indication of some kind of texture. Okay, everything else I'm just gonna draw in like normal. You know, on these I can do my dots, or I can do my dashes, kind of like that, whatever works for you. And I also just sort of filled this in a lot more. Like I put a lot of different just strokes, you know, and they can go in different directions. Maybe some go straight, maybe some curve left, but maybe I want to have a couple more come over here and kind of crisscross, you know, just kind of fill that in with texture. Yep, and this can go back like that. The clouds, just draw those in. Near the bottom, you might want to do a little bit of that texture-y thing. Yep, I think that's about it. Okay, so go ahead and ink your drawing in and come back to me when you're done, all right? Okay guys, so I'm painting this foreground here, this yellowy orange color. And I'm gonna bring that color right down to over top of like the heads of the grass, but not the actual stalk part. Just sort of like that. Okay, and for that section, I did not wet the paper. I just made sure that my water was, or not my water, my paint was really wet. So I keep dipping in the water. You can tell I've got like soup going on in there. Okay, and just spreading that in. And it can be darker in some places and lighter in other places. And actually, if you want to throw other colors in, you could do that too. You could throw like little bits of orange here and there. You can throw really as many different colors in there as you want. You could throw some greens in, some blues. For right now, I'm going to keep this simple. For my older kids that want to do more extensive stuff, I can kind of explain that to you later, but I'm going to keep this one simple for right now. So, you know, 1 or 2 colors in that background. And down here, okay, down here, I'm going to do strokes. Now I can do the same gold that I did up here in some places, but I don't want to do the whole thing in that gold. And same down here. Because I want it to blend in, but I don't want it to be the only color. The rest of this is, you know, this is shadowed. The field in the background has the sun or the light glowing on it. Back here, this is the shade. There's not any sun shining back here. So I want to put some cooler colors, like blues or purples, maybe even some magenta, maybe it's kind of borderline cool, like purples. And I'm not going to make it really wet. You know, it's watercolor, so the paint does need to be wet, but not soupy. Okay, and I want to use just the very, very tip of my brush so I can get that point in to make some good strokes. All right. So let's see, I just did the blue. Let me try a couple different shades of purple. This is a darker, kind of a bluish purple. So we can put some of that in here. And again, we're trying to just use the very tip of the brush if we can. And you can have different heights. Some of these should maybe be shorter and some of them may be higher, or some of them longer. Just kind of mix it up a little bit. If you accidentally get your paint too soupy, like I have a whole soup situation here, you know, you can dip it in and then just dab your brush off a little bit to get rid of some of that extra water and paint. And then using the tip of your brush again, get these strokes in there. Now I want to use a little bit of a pinker purple. Get that nice and wet. Just dab. Okay, And now, because I want to tie in all of those fun colors into the background a little bit, I'm gonna pick just a couple of these, maybe like this dark purple. I'm gonna use the watery part, blot it off, and I don't know, maybe just make a couple little strokes here and there. You know, maybe this is like where there's a little bit of a shadow out in the field or something. You know, we can also use some greens. I haven't done that yet, but we can use a green. Maybe not all of this has changed to fall colors yet. We probably still have a little bit of green out there. I don't know, maybe some of that reddish purple. And I also want to bring a little bit of this color behind these stalks, just to kind of tie it, you know, to kind of tie it in. Okay, now I'm gonna do my cloud up here. I'm gonna use the tiniest little bit of this blue. So I'm gonna make it real wet and dab most of it off. And I'm just gonna do this top edge right here and try to like blend it down a little bit. And then after that, I'm gonna get some of this light purple, just kind of drizzle that almost like on top of it. And I'm gonna add the teeniest itsy bitsy bit of orange at the base and let it work its way up into that blue. Okay, now for my trees back here, you know, I'm actually gonna start, I think, with this dark purple. I know that sounds silly because I actually ultimately want it to be green, but it's dark, it's in the distance, and I've got some atmosphere between me and those trees. And if I'm gonna be layering colors, well, in this instance, I guess there's different ways to do it, but for this particular thing that I'm doing, I just want to put the green on last, have that be on top. And if you get a little bit in the foreground, that's okay. Just blend it in. Just take a tiny bit of water if you want. And just kind of blend that in some. Okay, so now I'm going to take my green, my darker of my greens, and I'm going to put that over top. So I'm just going to go over this with my green. I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. I really don't want this to run into the sky. If it runs into the foreground, that's okay because we can clean that up some. But if possible, try not to let it get into the sky. If it does, you know, do your best to try to clean it up. Like down here, I've got this bleeding, that's okay. I'm just gonna go like that and make it part of the color. Maybe it's a little bit of shadow from the trees. Okay. Now guys, my cell phone battery is dying. I'm just having a little bit of a rough day filming this. So I'm going to do this as quickly as I can, but basically you guys know how to do this. We're just using watercolor, and you know, if I want it to be light, like I would say like her face, well really you can make it any color you want. On mine, I didn't want it to be too dark, so I used lots of water in my paint. And you know, you can always blot stuff out. If you paint it one color and it gets a little bit too dark, get that paper towel and blot out some of the color if you want. Okay. But we're just gonna paint this. And if you're using markers, you know, just have fun. Just do whatever you want. My suspenders, I did purple. And her pants, I did purple. There's really not a whole lot of rhyme or reason as to why I chose these colors. In general, I wanted it to be a sunset, so I knew that I wanted to have a lot of warm colors in my sky. And to contrast those oranges and yellows, I wanted to use some blues and purples, because if we go back to our color wheel that we did before, blues and purples contrast with reds and oranges and yellows. So I kind of wanted to use those contrasting colors in my shadow areas. And really, they also kind of make each other kind of pop out a little bit. So like the yellows would make the purples pop out, and the and vice versa. Okay. So I got that. Let me see what I can do for this little face up here. I think I just used, actually I think I used orange. I used orange, but I put lots of water in it, and then I blotted a lot of it off. And just kind of gently filled it in. You can add some more water if you need to. You can also bring that down into her neck area. Now, if I wanted to darken that up, I would probably add some more orange to darken it up. Now, I don't have any really tan colors in my kit. I don't know what colors you guys have, but I don't really have a tan. So I'm gonna kind of try to make a brown or like a tan color. And generally how you do that is you mix colors on the color wheel. You mix opposite colors. So I've got orange. I don't have my color wheel in front of me. I think that's blue. It's either blue or purple. But I'm gonna add a little bit of maybe bluish purple. I'll use a little bit of bluish purple. And I wanna be careful not to touch my painting. But you can kind of put some of that in. Okay, not quite that much. That's not what I was going for. But let's mix that up and see what we end up with. Okay, that's looking a little red to me. So I actually think I'm gonna put a little bit of green in it, maybe? Maybe a little tiny bit of teal. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I'm gonna try to put a tiny little bit of teal in there. And see if that gives me a little bit more of a tan color. You know, I think that if you just keep mixing it, it will sort of get there. It's actually not too bad. I'm trying to work kind of fast because I'm losing my daylight out here. But anyway, you get the idea. Now that's really wet right now, so I'm gonna let that dry. And then if I want to add more color, I can always come back and do that later, okay? Actually for her nose. And if I want to do any shadowing, maybe I still want to make her skin a little bit darker, or maybe I just want to, you know, add some color to make it look a little bit more realistic. You can come in after that dries with some more purples. Okay. Now, I'm going to do her shirt as quick as I can. I'm going to basically do every other stripe in this yellowy orangey color. And for right now, I'm just going to leave every other stripe white. Okay, and I can also make the straw for her hands come out with that color, kind of like an orangey yellow. And now I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to go the other direction on every other stripe. There we go. Actually, you know what? I want to add that same orange to this section right here. You know what? Her face is looking a little purple to me. I think I'm going to add a tiny bit of yellow into her skin tone here. A little bit of yellowy orange. Okay, then I'm going to make some dark red buttons, kind of an orangey red. Okay, and guys, that could be a finished version of our Scarecrow. Now, if you want to go in and do shading or anything like that, I would give this a good maybe 5-10 minutes to dry. And then you can go in, I'm gonna rush, so don't do what I'm doing. Give it a couple minutes to dry. But then you can go in like with this dark purple and kind of make some, you know, using just the tip of your brush, you can add some shadows in here. Okay, maybe like around the edge of the hat. You remember that the sun is behind her. And the sun has really set behind the trees already, I think. So, so her front side is going to be pretty shaded. So I'm just going to show you like quickly. Okay. See, I'm rushing. Don't rush, guys. Don't rush on yours, okay? But you can add some purple like down along this edge here. And I don't like that there, so I'm going to blend that out real quick with a wet brush. Okay. And then I can do the same thing on this side. I can kind of shadow that out. And maybe under her arm, I want to shadow it out a little bit. And you just kind of fade it up. Okay. Now on her face, okay, I know it's still a little bit too wet, but I'm going to take a little bit of orange and I'm going to go over her whole face with a tiny bit of orange. Okay. And again, I'm rushing. Don't go this fast because I know that this is going to bleed out because it's too wet. So maybe I'll just put a little bit, but I'm going to put a tiny bit of color in here for her little nose. Okay. And then I can also use a tiny bit of light purple or like reddish purple to kind of make some shadows in her face. Like maybe that's like the top of her eyelid, like when her eyes are shut. And maybe I want to have a little bit of shadow down around the sides of her face, maybe like under her chin. Maybe under her hat even. Bet you there's a little bit of a shadow there. Put some in her hair. And if you've done too much, you just go back over it with some water and maybe a paper towel. Okay. All right, guys, well, I am losing daylight really quickly. So I think I'm going to be done here. Actually, wait, I don't know why. Why are her little pants all weird? I'm gonna go over with a little bit more purple down here. Okay. A little bit of purple there. And there. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it a day. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed our little scarecrow. I'm sorry about all the background noise. It was just so pretty out and I didn't anticipate all of that ruckus, but I hope you guys were able to hear over all of that and that you had fun on this project, okay? So you guys have a great week and I'll see you next time, all right? Okay, take care.